Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I'm your host. Folks, more members, establishing relationships, meetings, dates, in home, at restaurants with the actual licensed bankers who will exchange their currency and manage their wealth. More wealth managers. Relationships are being so developed that they're becoming more and more comfortable opening up, having conversations with our members about the RV. You have the golden opportunity to experience the same thing. Why are you choosing to miss out? Did you know that you have an option? Or were you under the impression your only option is to wait for a notification from the spook who sat by the door? Some spook. Okay. You can click the link at the top of the description and join the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room. We have 8 steps. We will show you the way. These 8 steps that Wiley, myself, and the tribe have developed to help you. The people in the tribe, the members in the Goldilocks room, most of them have already taken the 8 steps, and that's who you're hearing from. When they talk about their luncheons, their dinners, their contracts signed with wealth managers, when they are able to share the amazing stories where the wealth manager and his wife wants to meet our member and his wife for a double date. When the wealth manager takes our members on a boat ride. Not the Titanic. No. With other investors, high net worth clients, art shows, racetracks, you name it. Real people touching the flesh of the actual people that will facilitate their exchange. Why not you? Click the link at the top of the description. You can join us for free, cost you nothing. We will help you. Today, folks, Goldilocks is sharing Vietnam. Let's jump right into it. Goldilocks is sharing all this, of course, as usual, is in writing from the actual financial and government sources. Vietnam's stock market, Goldilocks is stating, is their stock market overhaul is aimed at attracting new capital inflows, meaning money into the Vietnamese market, the Vietnamese economy, which includes tax reforms to countries looking to invest into Vietnam. Tax reforms, tax incentives, as an added incentive for major investors to come into Vietnam. They're adding these tax incentives. As a matter of fact, Vietnam is offering various companies tax-free business opportunities to invest in Vietnam, open their businesses. Major Fortune 100 companies, billions of dollars in tax incentives, saying, hey, come invest in Vietnam, open your company. We will give you tax-free income for 4-5 years. We won't tax your business. Vietnam has actually changed their constitution to allow this. So now, while exchange rates for trade between countries are not explicitly listed as a direct component of this in these reforms, it will affect the value of the Vietnamese dong. Why? Because as more and more investors flock to Vietnam, like President Trump and his own personal company that broke ground in May, what happens is all these businesses flocking to Vietnam will be doing business in Vietnam in what currency? The Vietnamese dong. So that means the demand for the Vietnamese dong goes up. Why? Because of the influx of billions of dollars in investments coming into Vietnam. And in alignment and also in conjunction with that, where Vietnam is expected to move into a market economy. What Goldilocks is stating is that exchange rate fluctuations can significantly affect foreign investors' decisions on investing in Vietnam. 2024, there was over $14 trillion withdrawn from the Vietnamese economy with foreign investors. That all will come back now that Vietnam has changed their policies to attract investors. See, Goldilocks is also sharing is that Fitch, which is a global credit rating company, has upgraded Vietnam's stock growth to a double B plus. This is a sovereign credit rating where they're now giving Vietnam, their stock market, an outlook, and the Vietnamese dong an outlook as a top tier currency and top tier economy. Whereas before, they were a triple B. Whereas they were under the umbrella of a currency that was weak. Their economy did not have a strong outlook. Well, a Fitch affirmation of Vietnam's sovereign credit rating to a double B plus with a stable outlook reflects confidence in Vietnam's stability, growth, reforms, as well. It doesn't directly affect the dong, but everything around the dong that gives it strength to increase in value. A stable or positive rating can indirectly support the Vietnamese dong's stability. This rating, see, think of the rating as a credit rating, if you will, like Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion. Whereas, depending on your credit rating can determine the interest rates that you may get with a loan if you qualify, or even if you qualify. See, before Vietnam and their previous credit rating wouldn't qualify for major investors to come into Vietnam. Well, now they do. So, therefore, the accessibility of investors. This is why so many investors are flocking to Vietnam. The Vietnamese dong will be affected. Supply and demand is what will determine an exchange rate in the new digital banking system, the open market. Well, supply and demand determines a rate now. But just imagine as more demand for the Vietnamese dong goes up, as these investors are flocking in. Vietnam's stock market development, Goldilocks is sharing, coupled with rising capital into Vietnam, infrastructure upgrades in Vietnam, it all creates favorable conditions for the Vietnamese dong to go up in value. However, Goldilocks is stating, the managed float of the dong, inflationary risk, and external global factors may limit significant appreciation in the short term. Over the medium to long term, sustained reforms and integration could strengthen the dong's fundamentals, particularly if Vietnam achieves emerging market status, which is expected to be considered in September. This is where an exit strategy, a threshold of knowing when you want to exchange, at what rate, and whatever you're comfortable with. See, there's not going to be a flip of the switch and all currencies all of a sudden overnight will poof, be at a revalue rate. That is not how Forex works. I can tell you this firsthand. I used to trade Forex, and that is not how it works. Folks, Vietnam's pursuit of an emerging market status, as defined by major index providers, such as the Morgan Stanley Index and the Russell Index. They've checked all of the boxes. Vietnam, which has a major trade surplus with the United States. This is how trade surpluses generally relate to currency exchange rates. Pay attention. Number one, increased demand for the dong. So when Vietnam exports more than it imports, they have a trade surplus. There's a higher demand for its goods and its services. They are justified to have a higher rate, but they haven't increased the value of the Vietnamese dong rate because it's to their benefit to keep it low and allow the exports to be very high. So meaning they make more money on the back end by having rates that are lower. Becoming an emerging market, they can no longer aggressively control the value of the Vietnamese dong and keep it down. The surplus also creates upward pressure on the exchange rate. Upward pressure on the exchange rate, meaning to help move it up. This increased demand for the dong can lead to the increased exchange rate of the Vietnamese dong. What Goldilocks is sharing, Vietnam is clearly showing sustained development is very achievable. They have checked all the boxes. Some things that they still are remaining to do. But it's like if you ever have been courted on a relationship and your partner promised they would do everything possible to not only get you but keep you. There's 5 things you demand and they meet all 5 to keep you or to get you. Vietnam is doing all 5 in order to be recognized officially as an emerging market economy. As a result, if that happens, which it surely looks, all indicators show that's what they're doing, that's what they're leading up to. Let's just hope that you're holding on to your dome. Beautiful folks, we love you. Be well. Ciao, ciao. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.